This video is brought to you by EA Game Changers. My opinions are my own, and thank you to the EA Game Changers program for providing my copy of Tiny Living Stuff. Hey folks, how's it going? This is Iron Seagull here, back with another video on Tiny Living. And it's one that I didn't even think I was going to do, but here we are, me doing a speed build. I know it's normal for a lot of other simmers on YouTube to do speed builds, but for me, I mean, it's even become a running joke that I don't build. Sure, I'm willing to redecorate houses that I've already downloaded off the gallery to suit my needs, but to build a house from the ground up is something I very rarely do because I spend so much time in Create a Sim that once I actually move my Sims in, I'm just like, I don't want to spend hours building a house too. So I end up downloading houses from the gallery because there's just so much good stuff on the gallery. And I don't know if I'll ever be as good as that, but still, I really wanted to try this out for myself because I thought, well, I can at least start with a tiny house because then I don't have to worry about building on a big 64 by 64 lot or something. And it makes sense since this is basically, like, I already know what my intention was going to be going into this, that this was going to help promote this Tiny Living stuff pack, a builder-oriented stuff pack. It just made sense for me to try this out now because it is something that I wanted to do for a while, and then I don't know, it's just one of those things where other things kept coming up and I'm like, okay, I gotta do videos on this and that, but finally I'm getting to do that now. So it's like January 21st 2020 marks not only the day that Tiny Living stuff came out, but the first time in a long time that I've done a speed build. I did do one back during the Sims 3 days for building a custom dive lots because there's kind of like an interesting workaround to do that. I actually don't really remember it much anymore because that was so long ago, but I did a speed build of a dive lot once, and I did do a speed build of an actual house back when we hit 10,000 subscribers. Wow, even that was quite a while ago, and yeah, I definitely like this house more. So I did want it to be mostly about Tiny Living, but at the same time, I also wanted to use some stuff from Bowling Night. Yeah, there we go. I'm just placing the clock right now because, yeah, I know full well that we do have some mid-century furniture in the game already. We also have some through Get Famous, but we don't have, like, I really need the collections feature back from previous games so that I can just make a mid-century themed folder, because Get Famous has some different furniture besides mid-century, so I was mainly relying on Tiny Living and Bowling Night, and I used a few other packs, though they're not as important. Well, Parenthood kind of is, because I use those counters, because I don't want to just use those same basic counters we've had since day one. I don't like those very much, but I love the Parenthood ones. I think everybody does. But yeah, I used those too, and I did use a couple of things from Seasons, but it's just the thermostat and the umbrella rack. So if you have that expansion pack installed, then you just have those set up already, so you don't have to be like because when I go into a house sometimes or a community lot, I'm like, oh wait, it doesn't have a thermostat, and we're in the middle of the heat wave and Sims are overheating, or it's like the complete opposite where it's super cold. So I just figured, okay, it's fine, and if people don't have Seasons, they can just download that. And I also use Get Together. It looks like it's not in here just yet, but I did really want to use a dartboard because as I started moving along here, I realized, okay, I want to do a sort of like industrial sort of look for this house. I want to start off with something fairly simple, so I didn't do anything like super complicated with all these different shapes. It is a box, and that's what I ended up like having in the name of the build, where it's the tiny red box, but it's supposed to be a special box because it is classified as a tier 2 tiny home. Because I did watch Little Simsy's micro build challenge video before this, but I was like, no, I'm not going to restrict myself that much where I'm going to try and get into, I believe that is the 32 tiles to get into that micro tier. I'm like, no, But if I can at least get into tier 2, that would be fantastic. And I did, just barely. I stayed in those 64 of 64 tiles. Okay, yeah, I did place down the dartboard now, and oh boy, yeah, I was really not too sure what to do about the front porch. Unfortunately, I ran out of money at the end because I did want to keep this in that 20K starter budget, and I just barely did. It's like 19,000, it's like 19,900 something. I can't remember the exact number, but I did have some other restrictions too, because the Murphy bed, at least the one that I placed, was 2,000 simoleons, and it's like, well, this is supposed to be a tiny living house. I definitely want to have the Murphy bed in there. So there were some things where it's like, okay, this and that is non-negotiable. It has to stay in there, but I just barely managed to keep it within there. Oh yeah, I was struggling to decide, okay, what clutter can I put there without using too many different packs? And I landed on that apple painting, and I also placed the duck layer. It's like, oh yeah, I guess just one of those builder things to do is have one of those sort of maybe quirky sort of objects that appear in most, if not all, your builds, and maybe the duck will be one of those. There's another one that I came up with later. It actually might be coming up in a minute or so, because with mid-century furniture being in bowling night stuff, I thought, okay, well, maybe whichever sim would live in here, they have a history with bowling, so I do place a decorative bowling pin in the slot available in the bookshelf that is next to the Murphy bed. And unfortunately, I did have to get rid of the dresser in the end to keep under that 20K, as well as the computer. Yeah, so I just figured, okay, if you decide to download this, because yeah, my origin ID, I'll put this in the video description as well, of course, but my origin ID is iron_seagull. So yeah, then if you just move a sim into here, then just have them earn some money. I mean, let's be real, The Sims 4 is not the hardest Sims game in the franchise. It shouldn't take too long to make some money. And the thing is, with the tier 2 that I built this house within, you do get a bunch of perks. It's not as many as the micro home, but you do have the lower bills, you have twice the skill gain, and you do have increased comfort. There is also the feeling fine all the time perk, which makes it so that certain emotions last longer than they usually would. And yeah, I just remembered seeing that part where I had to expand the bedroom a little bit because I realized, oh, the Murphy bed, when it's put down, there just wouldn't be enough space to move to the other side of the room where the bookshelf is. I normally would have not run into that issue with a normal bed, but it's just because, oh, the Murphy bed is folded up by default, so that was a thing. And I'm really glad I got to use the loft windows from the Moschino stuff pack, because even though I've been very clear that it's one of my least favorite stuff packs ever, I like those windows. It's probably my favorite item in that whole pack. I just think they look really nice and modern, and still, like, even though we have so much modern stuff in the game, it's different from a lot of the content that we already have, and I feel like it does suit the sort of industrial vibe that I was going for. And oh yeah, with the fences, I was struggling a bit because I wanted to use something from base game, since Tiny Living did not come with any new fences, but I realized, no, it's just not going to happen with this modern industrial vibe, so I went with the ones from Spa Day. So I forgot to mention that pack earlier too, but yeah, still overall I'm pretty happy that I didn't end up having to use that many packs. I mean, I wouldn't mind doing some sort of speed build later down the line where I just feel free to use whatever I want to use, but especially since I did want this to mainly use Tiny Living, I wanted more of you to be able to download this without missing too much essential stuff. Now I'm about to do the landscaping. Well, at least what little I could do, because like I said before, I want to stay within that 20K budget, and that ended up being a big sacrifice. I'm glad I was still able to fit a little bit in so it wasn't super plain around the front. But whenever I got to do a speed build, again, I would like to do more. I don't think I'm going to restrict myself to starter budget next time. But yeah. Yeah, disappointed I couldn't do more, but at least I did a little bit of terrain manipulation around the back. I wanted there to be at least a little bit because I feel like terrain manipulation is not something that's used by Maxis themselves at all, I don't think, even though we got that feature back well over a year ago. Yeah, hopefully in future worlds they could. I guess I should have done this build through Manage Worlds, but I really wanted to be able to conveniently playtest this because of the Murphy bed. I want to make sure that everything would work. So it was annoying to have to go to the save feature to really have that up-to-date count of what the actual value of the house is, because it seems like the value on the top left doesn't really update enough. I don't know, it's kind of weird. But we are getting towards the end of the video now, so overall, I'm so glad that I did this, and it turned out better than I thought it was going to, because it was hard to push through near the beginning, because when I was still figuring out the layout and where I was gonna put each room, I was just really doubting myself and was thinking, oh no, this is going to be utter crap. Like, is this something that I really want to be doing right now? And well, I just made myself continue on doing it, and here we are. I built a house, and I stayed within a starter budget and in tier 2. And yeah, and I uploaded it to the gallery for you all to enjoy. So wow, I'm not sure when I'll do another one of these, but yeah, I wouldn't mind doing another tiny house. And I am glad that I still got to keep most of the things that I really wanted, because the dartboard gave me a really hard time. But I was really set on keeping that in there because, yeah, like I said before, I think it does kind of match the industrial vibe, and since I would intend on having a younger sim moving in here who would maybe just go to the bar a lot, it would just make a lot of sense to have like this industrial sort of vibe and also have a dartboard. And I even managed to fit the child statue or baby Yoda in there, so that was cool. Oh, and another thing I feel proud of is that I managed to do this without using move objects, because I know it is common to use it, but then I find a lot of times I download a build that uses move objects and it's like, oh, okay, it looks nice and realistic and everything, but then my Sims get routing failures when I actually try to play it. So yeah, I'm gonna try and not use move objects that much. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this build. Oh right, I forgot. I forgot to actually put in the toilet paper roll when I was just doing the main build, so I just put a clip of myself just literally putting in toilet paper. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed this. And by the way, it does have a couple of lot traits, the fast internet and natural light. So you will have skill boosts on top of what you're already getting with the tiny house perks. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. And I just figured it would make sense, especially with the windows, to have the natural light one. So hope you enjoyed this build, and be sure to subscribe if you want to keep up with my latest content from The Sims, Sonic the Hedgehog, and more. So I will talk to you all later, and have a great day. Thanks for watching!